What's up? J Street Moto here, and welcome to the channel. Thanks for watching this video. This is the second part in a three-part mini series where I have David and Juan over at the house. We're drinking some bourbon and we're giving our final thoughts on the TRAC3 Amigos run to the Pacific. You're gonna pick the conversation up midstream. I did the best I could to, kind of quarantine it off so that you were getting the next question, so to speak. So in any case, I hope you enjoy it. If you do, please like and subscribe. So irrespective of where the next trip goes, or because this wasn't the last, there'll be future things. Is there anything that you figured out on this trip that you would do different going forward?
Okay.
You understand the question? And this could be related to how you set your bike up, how you different things. For
me, it's we've been through enough rides now. I finally figured out how to pack my bike. All right, and I'm not going to say it was on this trip that I packed it right. It's on this trip that I figured out what I still needed to do.
Gotcha.
Okay. I'm a notorious overpacker. Doesn't matter what I do. I always want to be prepared for everything. So as a result, I carried a lot more weight than I needed to. Less than when we went to Sturgis, less than when we went to Key West.
Yeah.
But still too much.
You get a little less each time, but
Yep.
and that's something I think we both learned that the first time to California. We both learned that we took way too much shit. You don't need, especially if you've got laundry facilities, you don't need a
14
t-shirt,
days worth of
14 days worth of underwear, socks, and t-shirts.
Yep.
You can get away without having that.
A week's worth.
A week's worth is all you need.
One night you're going to stop at the washing machine at the hotel or whatever. And
Yeah.
wash your shit.
So yeah. What about you?
See, I'm still trying to get the ultimate packing for me. What I had this time with the bags I had was good. Being able to have my helmet, packed in a bag, it was good, but it also took up a lot of freaking room. And it helped.
I think
we did. We wore the full helmets some, but it's
See, the luggage rack for you was a game changer.
Oh yeah. That luggage
Yeah, it
rack
lowered the profile.
lowered the profile of the bike and lowered my sailing tendencies with the crosswinds that we were doing.
Yeah, I felt sorry for Juan because the way Juan's bike, and you can kind of see it in some of the videos, you can see it in some of the pictures. It almost looked like Juan was riding two up the entire trip because that helmet was basically at the height of his head as he's riding down the road. And the wind hitting you crossways, it makes a big difference. Yep. It makes a huge difference.
Well, and after seeing what David did with the luggage rack after you bought it on the trip, to help lower the profile, I would do something similar if I was going to go on a long distance trip in the future, because it is hard.
Yeah.
Even if all I did on the back of it was strap my full face helmet, right? It'll
help.
It'll help.
So mine's had nothing to do with packing.
Okay.
What I want to do every trip going forward. So when you and I went to California the first time, we would just randomly stop along the road, take pictures of the bike, take pictures of the scenery.
Yeah,
we would just and we have not done that when we went to Key West. We didn't do it when we went to Sturgis, and we didn't do it on this trip. And that's something that I missed. I missed when especially putting together these. I missed going back and seeing, more photos of kind of what we saw.
That's kind of what I was talking about earlier, right? Is
the time
more time.
Yeah.
Right? And the driver of it was when you're looking at the odometer and you're going, we've still got another 650 miles to go.
Yeah.
you
You mentally are just like,
you
I'm
just
gonna
don't
ride.
you don't think about how can I stop and take a selfie or take a picture of the, we're entering this state, or that's the point. But
I mean, pretty much the only time we stopped and took pictures of where we were is if one of us had to pee. And we were out in the middle of nowhere.
And Route 66, we took some pictures.
Yeah, we took some pictures along there. So, yeah. This is a little weird one. I'm gonna throw it out here anyway. And this is one I thought of because I saw something on social media, and I was like, I wonder if we agree with this statement. All right. Every friend group is made up of 3 different types of people: the responsible one, the one up for anything, and the one that is in every way completely unhinged. First, do we agree that dynamic exists with the 3 of us? And if so, who do we think fits each of the classifications?
Well, I'm going to say it right now. Jim is the unhinged, so...
And Juan's the responsible one.
And I'm the responsible one.
Juan's the responsible one, so I think, and I would agree, David is usually the one that is up for anything and just kind of pushing us to do it. So we agree with that statement then?
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree.
Right?
100%.
Okay, all right. So it's funny you mentioned reversing the loop the next time we do something like this, because yesterday Juan and I were out riding and we went to lunch, and we got on the topic of Nova Scotia, and we got on the topic of Four Corners, and Juan had a good idea. Juan's idea was, why wouldn't we start the Four Corners in Maine? Loop it this way, you know what I mean? And then end up in Key, and then we could go through it like going through the southern part of the country, down towards Florida, early September. We're starting to get in fall, it's starting to get cooler, but it's not so cold up there yet.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
So if we end
But
up
Juan still
doing
hasn't
this-
committed to doing the Four Corners.
Well, I didn't commit to doing the Four Corners this coming year.
Okay.
I still got to get California behind me.
I know you do.
But what I would say is, I thought about it, and I thought about the heat, and I thought about the time of the year, and summertime is hard for all of us because of family commitments and because of business, whatnot. But post Labor Day, things become easier for me. And so I was thinking about it, and then I was thinking about the geography and the weather. And if we left like after Labor Day and we headed north and we got into Maine and we went across the U.S. within the first 2 weeks of September, before the weather starts to change, and then we work our way back across the United States towards the end of September, we actually we're hitting the heat in the north when we need it. We're avoiding the extreme heat in the south when it was so brutal, going out.
The only real problem with doing that is now we're running along the Gulf Coast and the Atlantic coast during hurricane season. That's going to be the big, because I mean we've gotten lucky so far in terms of we really haven't hit bad weather. We've had it come in behind us and then screw us later in the trip. And we've had weather that we just missed, like this trip. We literally, that storm that closed Yellowstone rolled through like a week and a half before we got there. And it was still causing issues, so now I was thinking about in terms of, I really kind of dug to your point about being able to spend more time and do more things. Now California is a special circumstance. There's no way for us to get there, and you might as well not go back the same way you came. Make a big loop, right? Have fun. But I'd really like, excuse me, for us to plan some trips where we go to some of these states we want to ride in, and we do them like we did Sturgis, where we pick a central location in the state. We take like 4 or 5 days, maybe 6 days in that state, and then just the time to get there and get back. And then just spend some time kind of spiderwebbing the state and riding all the cool stuff. There's roads I want to ride. I want to ride the $1 Million Highway. I really want to ride that, but it's never a way when I'm out that far west. It's not convenient. Arizona 89A, we got lucky. We got really lucky that it just happened to be
on our way,
on our route, and we were able to do it and not really screw up the schedule. We can't do that with the $1 Million Highway. And so I'm thinking, oh, it'd be kind of cool to do some trips where we just go someplace, set up shop, and strip the bikes down and go ride everywhere we want to ride.
So I love what we did in Sturgis. I love the fact that we touched different points. I would love to do something very similar in that Utah, Idaho, Colorado part of the world. That to me would be a phenomenal day, straight out.
Yep.
Get the cabin, whatever we do, and then do that. That's
I was surprised with how Idaho looked. I really was. Idaho kind of surprised me. I can tell you, unless they've done a lot of work in Colorado, the roads, it's beautiful scenery. It sucks riding. The roads are horrible. I mean, dangerous, horrible for motorcyclists. If for you guys listening, if you ever get out to Colorado, even on the interstate, because they allow chains, there are grooves cut in their interstates.
Gotcha.
Where if you're either riding the center and hoping you don't pop off, or you're landing in a groove, and these grooves are deep enough, your floorboards are barely missing the concrete. And you're stuck. You can't get out of it. You're just like, all right, I'm just going to hang on, and hopefully it comes up when I get to the top of this hill and it flattens out and I can get out of it. So, I mean, Colorado's a pain in the ass to ride in other words. Okay. But it's beautiful scenery. That's what's sad about it, right? It's one of those, and it might be different on back roads. Because the only time we've been through Colorado, we were on the interstate.
Well, Colorado's got a lot of their back roads, dirt roads, especially
gravel,
going through the western part. And I know that just from being out there as many times as I have. So yeah, we'd have to be kind of that'd be one of those routes we'd have to try to figure out well in advance and do some research on.
But we could do something like, the Four Corners. Stay where the Four Corners are, which I think is what it's Nevada. No, it's not Nevada. It's Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, and Colorado. And literally stay in the center of those 4 states, and then just go, one day we're going to go do this, one day we're going to go do this, one day we're going to go do this, and one day we're going to go do this.
I'm in for that.
Just a thought,
Well,
future stuff.
Here's the thing. The Four Corners, I can already tell you there's not a whole lot out there.
Oh, I know there isn't.
It's in the middle of an Indian reservation, and there's not dick out there. So we'd have to pick a state.
We'd have to pick a state.
And just try to get as close as we can to that intersection. In fact, I was talking to a friend of ours Friday night about that, because when I told him we were talking about doing the Four Corners ride, he's like, well, there's not much out there, I grew up out there, and it's changed locations. He said, now, of course, we got GPS and it's easy to find. He goes, but hell, back then, I went there 4 or 5 times, and every time we went there, it was in a different place.
Gotcha.
I'd also like to dip into Texas. Go more into southern Texas instead of staying up across the top of it. Where I like the Twisted Sisters and those things out there.
Well, and we could do that if, when we do the Four Corners, big Four Corners, if we come back through the south. Yeah. We could go
dip further down into Texas. But
cut back through Las Cruces, New Mexico, and then enter Texas on the south part of New Mexico, and then kind of
Yeah.
Where my bike became my bike.
Exactly where your bike became. Where you buried one and bought a new one. So Nova Scotia next year, right? Any other ride next year? Because when we were originally going to do, we worked out the timing of it that we could fit Key West and Nova Scotia into the same year, and we ended up doing Key West with Sturgis. As long as we recognize the longest part of it's going to be the Nova Scotia piece. What would the other one be for next year?
I think it's New Orleans. We've talked about it.
Ride to New Orleans?
Yeah,
I mean, we ought to be able to get to New Orleans as fast as we get to Key West.
Absolutely.
Should be able to.
Not faster.
Maybe faster.
Yeah, maybe a few hours faster.
Okay, so New Orleans next year.
Yeah, that's I
Southern run.
think New Orleans is our short trip,
Yeah,
right?
early spring.
right, which is what our Key West trip was, and then Nova Scotia is our long trip.
Yeah,
And I think we can, if we do New Orleans, and we were looking at the schedule. Remember?
we were looking
we
when
were-
Mardi Gras
we were
was,
so
when the Jazz
concerned.
Festival is, when
Yeah.
all that stuff is.
But there's a great 4-week window
Yep.
between Mardi Gras and Jazz Fest where we could make it happen, and we would have no problems with crowds.
Yeah,
So for me, that would be a great one. If that doesn't work out, as crazy as it sounds, and you just went there, so you may not be as into it.
Niagara Falls.
No, I was thinking Chicago. I would
Chicago.
love,
No, I like going to Chicago.
you know, and you know, if the wives wanted to meet us out there, I think that would be a great place to hang out, you know, in between.
Oh, Chicago? Over New Orleans?
No, I'm just saying if
Oh, either one.
well,
yeah.
because you know, you've got a situation where Anne Marie's never been to New Orleans, so
Yes.
so she may not want to do it with you on the trip, but that would be kind of my backup.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah,
No,
because
we go to Chicago every year, so
okay.
at least once.
Yeah, but I think what we got to look at is a short trip and a long trip.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right.
We got to do
And
we
the
basically
long-
have to do a repeat of last year, which is a short trip and a long trip. Thank you for listening to part 2 of the highlight reel from the TRAC Amigos trip that took place in June of 2022 that carried us from Charlotte, North Carolina to the Pacific Ocean and back. The fundraiser for Susan G is going to remain open until September 9th, 2022, so if you feel compelled to donate, you are more than welcome to do so, and all contributions are certainly welcome. Continue for part 3. It will be linked in the end screen of this video, so it'll be easy for you to get to. And as always, ride safe.